zero chance of taxes going down.
This debt that is building up is like a cancer. It will literally destroy our country from within.
On the last two administrations, we have seen our national debt quadruple. It was $5 trillion in 2000. Just 15 years later, $20 trillion.
The situation is theoretically soluble, but not practically and realistically soluble.
Since Inauguration Day, President Obama pushing for 442 different tax increases.
Here in California, it's outrageous what we're paying.
Burger King is to invert itself as technically a Canadian company so it can pay the lower Canadian tax rates.
Burger King is a victim of the war on success.
At this point, with 50% of the American population being net recipients of benefits from the government, that's only going to go up as the economy deteriorates. I think we're headed toward a genuine crisis, and all you could hope to do is to save yourself from the consequences of all this stupidity.
Hi again, Mark Emery here with the Lighthouse Law Club. Let me get right to the point. The dollar is crashing. Not next year, not later this year, not sometime in the future. It's happening right now. That means that all of your savings, investments, real estate, and dollar-denominated assets, especially if they're held in a country which uses the US dollar as its currency, are losing value on a daily basis. This is a current crisis, right now, happening today, and I'll prove it to you. But it would be a waste of time for us to be lamenting this situation if I didn't offer a solution, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So sit tight, learn from this presentation, and hold on to the end, where you'll see exactly what you need to do. Let me show you how the US dollar is crashing today. This is a chart of Bitcoin versus the US dollar. It's a Bitcoin chart. It shows the value of the Bitcoin as measured against the US dollar. I've worked out the numbers, and you can do it on your own, and the numbers show that Bitcoin has doubled in value in just the last 30 days. It's crazy. Doubled the value in the last 30 days. If you had sold all of your real estate, converted your investments and savings into Bitcoin, let's just say 4 to 6 weeks ago, your net worth would have doubled just since then, in the last 30 days. But because you didn't do that, your net worth has just been cut in half in terms of Bitcoin value. How does that feel? Now that begs the question, why and how does that happen? There are several reasons, but the biggest one is that people have lost faith in fiat currency, and especially the US dollar. They're looking for alternative assets as a store of value. Simple. Not hard to understand. People are fleeing the US dollar. Nations across the world are fleeing the US dollar. Russia and China are paying each other in goods, or for their goods in gold, in other currency. Okay, so let's flip this chart over and see what it looks like for the US dollar. Now here we have a dollar chart as measured in Bitcoin. And this is only a 2-year chart starting in 14th of August. You can see in the upper left from August 14th, 2015, which is almost yesterday, right? I mean, 2015, it seems like it was just a few days ago. I mean, I have fresh memories of 2015 through August 14th of this year, 2017. All right, we can see that basically the value of the dollar was roughly about 0.004 in that range, a little bit higher. Bitcoin, right? Today it's 0.00026. And to put that in easily understandable terms, in a matter of 2 years, what you could buy in a Bitcoin price with US dollars today is only 6% of what you could buy 2 years ago. So it's dropped 94% in 2 years. And it's going to continue, folks. The US dollar is going to disappear as compared to certain other assets. And Bitcoin isn't the only one. I'm just using this one for example. All right, so with that in mind, this is dramatic. It's extremely dramatic, and we need to understand the urgency that exists for us to protect ourselves. As William Casey said, the only thing we can do is protect ourselves and to take measures to take care of our families. All right, so with that, let's listen to some economic fundamentals, and we will hear from Egon von Greyers, founder of Matterhorn Asset Management in Switzerland, whom you can also find at goldswitzerland.com. Egon, $2 quadrillion in global debt?
Just look at the debt level that you mentioned. So just think about global GDP being $70 trillion. And then, the way I get to 2 quadrillion, which is mind-boggling and is 30 times global GDP. It's very simple. You're talking about debt, direct debt of about 230 trillion. You're talking about unfunded liabilities worldwide of another 250 trillion roughly. So you're up to 500 trillion. And then you're talking about derivatives, 1.4 quadrillion or 1.5 quadrillion. So that takes you up to 2 quadrillion of debt and liabilities.
Can that debt even be paid?
Gross liabilities become net liabilities when counterparty doesn't pay. And therefore, the 1.5 quadrillion in derivatives will remain a gross liability because there's no other side they're going to stand and pay up.
So when the debt bubble bursts, will the bankers be seizing people's assets for liquidity?
Well, they have no other option. We have seen now the trend of banning cash in many countries or reducing the level of cash that people can take out of the bank, which in many European countries is not more than 1,000 to 3,000 euros. We've seen many countries like Sweden going virtually cashless. I mean, there's a lot of shops, a lot of places don't even accept cash in Sweden. And that's a process that will continue.
Could we see another Cyprus type of bail-in where the banks close, they steal from people's accounts?
It's just that people for a while might not get their money out, but that's going to be even worse because if people don't get their money out, they will panic and there will be civil unrest. And there'll be a lot of aggressive people, which will not be pleasant for the people who are in power or the bankers. So yes, all assets of banks, and that'll be the same with pension funds. I mean, pension funds will be used to invest in euro bonds or in U.S. treasuries, and of course they will be invested for long periods because there's never going to be paid back. There'll be moratoria on bonds, which means that they'll be extended. The duration of them will be extended. Yes, the banks and the bankers and the central banks will do all they can, but at the end of the day, that's not going to solve the crisis. So they will also, of course, print money, and the money printing will, in my view, escalate massively in the coming years. That will lead to, I'm convinced, hyperinflation. I don't think they will succeed this time with any of the measures. They will try, they will be desperate. If you asked me 10 years ago, would they save the system for 10 years, which they did? Well, they didn't save it because they made the problem a lot bigger. Global debt has gone from 120 trillion in 2006 to 225 trillion today. Central banks have printed another $18 trillion. So the situation now is a lot worse than it was then. And so the bubble is much bigger. And this time, remember that interest rates worldwide were around 5-6%. 10 years ago. Today, they are zero or negative in many countries. So they have nothing they cannot achieve anything by adjusting interest rate. Well, they can make them more negative, but when you have people are not going to give them any money to invest with negative interest rates, and there won't be any money around anyway.
Why do you think cryptocurrencies are so popular?
Is not within the system and is not at this point, and that might change, at this point controlled by governments, and this is why people are piling into cryptocurrencies. Most people don't understand gold still. As we know, it's about 0.5% of world financial assets, or slightly less, is in gold today. So therefore, it's not on the horizon of most people.
Gold seems to be coming to life. What are your thoughts on that?
In the very short term, as we know, gold reacts to events. But the real moves in gold are never due to events. Now, the North Korea situation is being blamed by the press, but they don't understand what's happening. I mean, this North Korea is just a catalyst for a world which is so indebted that it will never get out of the current situation. And all gold does over time is to reflect that. And that's also why we've been into gold now. It's physical heavily for 17 years, and why we'll continue. We are not worried the slightest about these short-term moves, but I actually think the cycle was not right to turn off. I think we're going to have a very strong move in gold in the next few months, and therefore you need a catalyst, and it happened to be North Korea.
What could be the trigger to cut gold loose from the artificial suppression of prices in the marketplace?
They will lose control of interest rates. The bond markets, we're now talking about 100 trillion bond market. And remember that 25 years ago, that was not more than 10 trillion. So, the debt is growing exponentially, and interest rates will go up because the long end of the bond markets will be sold. People will get out of the long end, and central banks will not be able to buy all of those bonds. And if they do, they will just exacerbate the problem. Currencies will collapse, and interest rate will continue to go up. So it becomes a vicious circle. I think that we could very well see this all starting to happen now. We certainly have everything in place, just from the financial point of view, and then we can come on to the world economy and the geopolitical situation. But this is why whether gold starts going up strongly this autumn, I think it will do, and I think we could even see new highs at the end of this year. But that's totally irrelevant. We are not looking at the price, as you know. We are looking at gold as insurance. We're looking at gold as a way of protecting against the fake money intervention and the debt slavery that we have in the world. And this is today, there is nothing else that protects you as well as physical gold.
What are your thoughts on the fake economic news going around?
They've done a great job in fooling all of the people most of the time by keeping everything up. VIX down at under 10, the volatility index, stock markets up at highs when the risk is greater than ever. So from that point of view, it shows that if you tell people lies often enough, they will believe it. And that's what's happened. But this is why when this ends, it's going to end in tears. It's not going to end with this just slow, gradual process of deterioration. It's going to end with a bang. And it's going to be very, very unpleasant for most of us, in my view. I'm not a pessimist. It might sound like it. I'm not negative. But I'm just looking at the risk. And the risk is so clear to me that this is a risk that no one can actually do anything about, because there is nothing you can do to debts that cannot be repaid. You just take your own country. The US hasn't had a budget surplus since the early 1960s. Not once, not even the Clinton years was a budget surplus, although people think it was. That tells you this is the strongest economy in the world, cannot make ends meet for soon 60 years. That's just unbelievable. But that's the state of the world, and we're living on a lie, and you can't live on a lie forever. People say, so why can't we go on for another 10 years? Because you cannot, in the end, the laws of nature will actually prevail. You cannot just continue to expand bubbles forever. You can do it for a limited time, but in the end, they will burst, like every bubble so far in history has. And that's what we're going to experience in the next few years, in my view. I think the elite will lose control. They're not going to be able to stop it anymore.
So there you have it. It's black and white. It's not if or maybe. Things are unwinding now. So let me give you the formula to be 100% assured that you will sink along with the dollar and the traditional global economy. All right? Here's how to sink. Number one, keep your job and rely on that corporate or government paycheck for survival. That'll do it. Number two, do nothing. Ignore the obvious and just maintain the status quo. Things will be all right. They'll work themselves out. If you don't work now to create a level of independence and self-sustainability, here's what your future is likely to look like. Money dries up in the economy. With it, jobs will dry up and paychecks. Now you're out on the street with no job and no independent cash flow. Where do you go to get groceries? You have no choice but to look for government handouts, which makes you even more dependent than you were before. Now the government says, sorry, we can't afford to pay these benefits anymore, but we have good news for you. If you report to the bus station at 8:30 on Thursday morning with your family, we'll take you to a relief center where we can provide you with food and shelter and even medical care. Really, you say? Well, what kind of medical care? Look up Obamacare, ICD-9, E978. Go ahead, do a search, look it up. See what kind of medical care they can provide for you. Hey folks, this is serious and it's happening now. If you don't take it serious, it's on you. Don't come crying to me saying, oh, I coulda, I woulda, I shoulda. Now, you want to be rescued? I'm going to give you the solution. If you're willing to follow the trail, there are two elements. There's a practical and a financial element which work together as one. Then there is a spiritual element, which is equally, if not more, critical. So let's first discuss the practical financial element. All right. First, you must create economic independence and stop being dependent on a paycheck. That's absolute, black and white. If you don't, then you don't want freedom, nor are you really that serious about survival. That's the bottom line. I know you've worked your whole career to get where you are. The pay might be good. Your identity is all right, and your ego are all wrapped up in your title and your position and your power and your influence, the people that look up to you. But ask yourself this, what's that title going to do for you when the U.S. becomes like Venezuela and people are looking for pets on the street in order to eat that day? Think about it. Is that too extreme? You think so? The Law Club has a simple plan to help you generate $10,000 to $20,000 a month, independent, tax-free cash flow. That's not extreme. That's not exaggerating. It's a simple plan. $10,000 to $20,000 a month. Now, you can take it or you can leave it. It's your choice. For details on that, you want to see what it's all about? See the links in the description below. And we'll take you to another presentation to go into those details. All right. Secondly, once you've got cash flow and your needs are covered, you have to protect what you have. And that's where our private asset management system comes into play. We have a complete solution, which you won't find anywhere else, that will free you up and protect you from the bankers, the politicos, the thieves, and the robber barons in the system. Again, independence is what we're talking about. Again, those links are below. We've got a complete solution which you won't find anywhere else, I guarantee you. Now, let's talk about the spiritual element. Very important. I think you know that we're not fighting the aftermath of stupid economists and central bankers. This whole situation is part of a plan. It's a comprehensive plan which has been prophesied for thousands of years. That's just a fact, like it or not. We're dealing with the principalities of darkness here. And things are going to get ugly like nobody would ever believe. To get through it with blessings, divine guidance, and providence, you need to get right with God. This means to repent now for your sins. Ask Jesus for forgiveness, and you'll get it. And straighten out your ways. Guys, that means no more jumping from one girlfriend to the next or just shacking up with one without marital commitment. No more porn, heavy drinking, smoking, or bar hopping. This is all time wasted, which could be used and should be used to study the Word, get closer to God, and live in His blessings and glory. Again, you do have a choice. Ladies, for you this means cut the trips to the mall and the time that you spend on vanity. Replace your materialism with idealism. No more gossip, backbiting, or hateful thinking. Hate and fear and other negative thinking, it creates a vibration which the evil one feeds upon. Lift your thoughts and your spirit and focus your eyes on Jesus Christ. This new vibration you create lifts your spirit and protects you from much of the negative that swirls around us. This means cut out, as much as you can, all the time spent on gloom and doom, news and analysis. Don't be a news junkie and just get sucked into that whole thing where you spend so much time just dealing in negative energy. It has effects on you. Forget about all that while you focus your time and energy on being productive, studying the Word, getting closer to God, so you can be in harmony with Him and receive the blessings that He has for you. This is no joke. How do I know this? Why do I speak so strongly on it? Because I've lived it myself. I've been there and done that as a sinner, and I still struggle. But I'm working to change and cover my weaknesses, get stronger, and I've been abundantly blessed as a result. God knows your heart. None of us are perfect. We all stumble and fall and make mistakes. That doesn't mean we should just turn, run, and hide. We need to have the heart and ask Jesus to help us with the areas where we fall short, and He will. So I've been there and done that. I'm no different than you. So ask for forgiveness. Ask Jesus to come into your heart. Repent and walk away from the evil ways of this world and focus on the light and the Spirit, which will enable us to rise above all this chaos in this crazy world. Blessings or curses and the devastation that's coming upon us. The choice is yours. I've thrown you a life ring. The rest is up to you. Will you grab it? Many blessings to you and yours. I hope to see you in the winner's circle. Take care and God bless.